In this week's video, I continue working in the outbuilding to try and convert this into a workshop slash tool storage area. The contractors also come back and remove the props in the outbuilding and in the main house. I hope you enjoy the video. If you've worked with stone buildings before, you'll know that hardly anything is straight or level. So using a laser line doesn't really always work out, but I was just trying to make this wall as straight as possible. I'm using metal studs in here for two reasons really. First reason, I'm finding it hard to find a reliable timber supplier. And the second reason is that I've never actually used this before, and in the main house I'm planning on insulating it, and I'm trying to decide between a timber frame, lining or a steel frame. So this is giving me some idea of how I can work with it and to see if it'll be a good candidate for the future. The frame is spaced away from the wall. I didn't want to fix into the wall because that's going to be removed later. If the wall was right up against the existing wall, then the cabinets underneath would have to negotiate that stone wall at the bottom, meaning that they would be sort of custom fit. So I decided to build in front of that stone wall. I ended up gluing the top track to the ceiling. It's probably not the strongest connection, but as it's just keeping it in place, it should be fine. I worked on this wall during lunch breaks and after work, so you can see my outfits changing. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and the next stage is to clad this in OSB. The builders came back and their aim for the day was to reinforce the steel beams at the back of the house and to start removing the existing concrete beam that runs through the middle of the house. My job was just to tidy up and get things out of their way.
Don't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah.
We need all these props back. Yeah, I think it should be in the half that wheelbarrow that's on the other side. All the plates.
The engineer asked us to bolt the steel beams into the existing floor slab. So this ridiculously long drill bit was used. Threaded rod would then be chemically anchored and bolted to the steel. Removing the concrete beam was pretty hard work, and to make things a bit easier, the breaker was actually suspended from the ceiling to give the guys a better angle and to support most of the weight of the breaker. In this part of the video, I want to talk about this week's sponsor, Tractive. Our dog Mila is a huge part of our lives, and if you've seen past videos, you'll know how much effort we've put into keeping her from escaping. Even though she always finds her way home, Tractive gives us real peace of mind. Tractive is a pet GPS tracker and app that lets you monitor your pet's real-time location, activity and health right from your smartphone. I've been using Tractive for over 3 years now, and it's become something I really rely on to help me track Mila down. The Tractive Dog 6 shows your dog's live location, lets you set safe zones, and tracks activity and sleep. It even monitors changes in barking and behavior, has a long-lasting battery, and is waterproof with built-in lights for visibility. You can also track your dog while traveling. We used it all over Europe when we were on our road in our camper van, and as long as it was fully charged, never let us down. If you'd like to check out Tractive for yourself, there's a link in the description below. The next day I was working on electronics. Well, removing the existing electrical system for the downstairs because it was all mounted on the concrete beam that was going to be removed. It turns out that the power supply from down here came through one of the bedrooms upstairs, which annoyingly ran through the floor just above the beam that was going to be removed. This meant that removing it would mean the whole of the downstairs would be without power. So until I sorted out some sort of replacement downstairs, long extension cables had to be run through the windows into the main house. Along with the additional bolts through the web of the steel, the engineer also asked for a small steel plate to be added to the underside of the steel just to increase the bearing of the existing concrete beams onto the steel, so this was welded on at the same time. This hole in the side of the wall was where the existing concrete beam was and ran through the existing part of the house. This hole will be reused to support the steel beam that replaces it. I'm pretty sure my builder's entire supply of acro props are being used on this project, and to make sure that there were enough props for the other side of the concrete beam, props had to be removed from underneath the steels, which was a pretty nerve-wracking process to watch.
I come to you, so I lift it up. But yeah, I'll have a look for some concrete screws. Yeah, or...
Back in the outbuilding, I was preparing the space for another stud wall in the opposite corner of the one that I built previously. This would sit next to the solar power system that I built in previous week. With more props needed in the main house, the builders came to remove the props from the outbuilding. This was another pretty nerve-wracking process, one that I don't think experienced builders ever really get used to.
Removing props is not my favorite job.
Oh, they trust the steel.
Yeah, we did won't fall out, but still it's like always like full length more.
Hey, it holds. Swing it off.
So the red ones are your props?
Yeah,
Nice.
but I mean, you're welcome, obviously, to use them.
And later that evening I continued tinkering in the outbuilding, setting up the lights on the other side. Pretty decent amount of light in here now. The next day in the daylight I could properly review what the builders had done the previous couple of days. With the props removed, I can really appreciate the space created and the views out of the building. It's another step closer to having these rooms habitable, but there's still a lot of work to do. And finally, if you're interested in the Tractive system, there's a link with a discount code in the description box below.